Welcome back, everybody. IGN Live at Comic-Con 2016, where 3 big trailers have just dropped.
Yeah, it's breaking.
The news has broke.
We were all in the bathroom, and they were like, "You got to get back in here. You got to film this thing."
We got Justice League, we got Wonder Woman, and we got Kong Skull Island.
Whew.
Let's start with Justice League.
Yeah.
I think we're going to pull that up here right now. First impressions.
Good, not great. I thought it was a step in the right direction after BVS. It's funny because this trailer is devoid of Superman, even though the poster and the key art for Justice League has Superman featured prominently. I like the sort of focus on the fact that it seems like Bruce Wayne has to go on this pilgrimage and sort of find everybody and recruit the Justice League.
It's very much like a building the band type moment. It's weird that he's doing all the heavy lifting and Wonder Woman isn't, because it seemed like that was kind of the plan at the end of BVS.
Yeah.
One thing I did like about this, though, is nobody's in costume, right? It seems like it's very much about the alter egos and the personalities, and then, like the last 30 seconds, you get to see everybody dressed up. But I like that, and I thought tonally it was very different as well. Like Ezra Miller is got some funny scenes, and even Affleck is like, he's got some sort of satirical, like tongue-in-cheek lines. You know, it's like, hey, you can talk to fish.
It definitely feels lighter than BVS. Right?
Yeah, and they're doing a really smart thing that I think Marvel nails in the MCU, and it's that you take these, everyone here is just a really great actor and this iconic character, and then when you pair 2 of them up, you get a completely different reaction. Like when Wonder Woman and Bruce Wayne are together, you get this sort of like, this sexual tension, whereas when Ezra Miller and Ben Affleck are together, you get this like, Affleck's like, what am I doing with this kid? And this kid is just stoked. He's like, oh man, I'm gonna have buddies now. Which I found really cool. And I think Ezra Miller, I think people were a little bit worried, and they sort of wanted Flash casting.
Grant Gustin.
Yeah, because he's so sort of perfect for the role. But in this short snippet, I'm like, oh man, we might have 2 incredible Flashes across 2 mediums.
What's cool right there in that moment is that's when he realizes Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Where he's like, oh, this is what's happening here.
And the thing that he did that I think this movie needs, or the whole franchise needs, quite frankly, is like, he has some optimism and some hope, and like, he's down. Like, as soon as he says, I'm getting people together, he's like, yeah, I'm in. Like, there's not this sort of like constipated angst that so many other characters in Snyder's version of this have exhibited, you know?
Yeah, it reminded me of like how into it Ant-Man was in Civil War to join the team. He's like, I'm totally down. And I really liked sort of the interaction between Bruce and Aquaman in this fishing village, saying like, hey, I heard a rumor that this man comes to you off the tide to help you, and I don't know, sort of that mythological being versus billionaire playboy is such an interesting clash.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're also getting to see some of Cyborg, right?
Yeah, of Cyborg, which one thing that kind of worries me is, are they going to have to sort of have multiple origin stories in this movie?
Right.
Like, are we going to need a Flash origin story? Are we going to need a Cyborg origin story? Are we going to need an Aquaman one? Or, is this sort of going to be like how Spider-Man was in Civil War, where it's like, listen, most of you know where these characters come from. Let's just leave it there.
Well, I think, with a character like Batman or Superman, you don't need to retell the origin story. Audiences aren't familiar enough, I think, with Cyborg.
Sure.
But with Cyborg, my understanding is that the suit that he has and the power that he gets from being rebuilt is based on the MacGuffin for the movie, which is the Mother Box. So maybe they could tie that in, to sort of what the main characters are going after. I don't know what they would do with Flash, but he's a guy who's fast. What else do you need to say?
Guy who's fast. We're going to pull up the Wonder Woman trailer next, and this one I think looks awesome.
Most excited for this one, absolutely.
I'm much higher on this one. I loved, right from the get-go, I love the color palette. I think Chris Pine is incredible casting here. The dynamic between the 2 of them is wonderful, and I love that this is a period film.
Yeah, it's a little like English Patient, right?
Man, I would have liked the English Patient so much more if it had action scenes.
Yeah, I mean, the action scenes are the thing that impressed me. And obviously, like, I love the tone, I like the setting of it, but like the fights are just amazing. And she's got that glowing golden lasso, and she's doing all these amazing like moves and kicking people. And there's a part where the rifle goes behind her back and she just like snaps it with her arms.
Yeah, super cool. I love the look of the setting. We're gonna get to that scene soon where she's walking through here. Damon. This is Damon's favorite part of the trailer.
Very inconspicuously walking through this party with this sword
at her back. That's how it was back in Game of Thrones times.
What I like about it, though,
Game of Thrones times, actually.
is like it shows like how cool and like calm she is. Like, she's not overly emotional about what she has to do. And there's another scene later where we see all the soldiers going over the top, like climbing out of the trenches, and they're like crazy and manic. And then it cuts to her, and like she's just climbing up, like she's got this real peaceful look on her face, but like this kind of quiet determination.
Yeah, I mean she almost has like the vibe and tone of like a ballerina. Which I really love. And this sort of all of this sets up. So is this supposed to be? Is this take place before or after BVS? Like, is this?
I mean,
so this is World War I. So I mean, this is 100 years ago.
100 years, but I don't know if there's gonna be weird time travel stuff. Did BVS not take place before World War I?
Oh, yeah, it was set in the 1890s. No, I mean, I think what they're trying to sell here is like this is sort of an ageless hero.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the original Wonder Woman was introduced in 1941, and so they're even kind of retconning the idea of the character like entirely.
Yeah.
But it still has Steve Trevor. It still has this idea that like he tells her about the world at war, and she decides I need to be part of that. And we saw earlier, it looks like the war comes to Themyscira, like her island. So like that to me is really interesting.
We just have a couple of minutes left, so we are going to jump into the Kong trailer, but definitely watch the rest of the Wonder Woman.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, both of them are incredible.
It's really good. And what can I say? I'm a huge King Kong Godzilla Kaiju fan, so.
I'm a huge fan of huge King Kong.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest King Kong we've ever seen on film.
Yeah.
This trailer looks very promising. It's got me very excited for it.
I love that it's got like this Apocalypse Now, like 70s Vietnam War movie type feel to it. Like the visuals and like the tone and the attitudes of the characters. It looks exactly like an Oliver Stone kind of.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this cast. The cast is great. You got John Goodman, Tom Hiddleston, Sam Jackson, Brie Larson. It doesn't seem like they're going to this island for like archaeological research or like we want to see what's here. It's like most of these people are going here to wipe out everything.
Look at that.
She's through a tree in a helicopter. Movies don't do that enough.
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen a cool palm tree thrown at a helicopter. But yeah, and then you get this tension. It's not only man versus beast, but like Sam Jackson here pulls out a gun and he's like, "Hey, I'm like taking the situation over," which I really like that too. And I think the trailer does a good job of showing you just enough of Kong while still keeping it Kong to the vest.
No, that does no.
Close to the Kong.
We're gonna reject that one.
I so wish we weren't doing this live because I would so love to cut out what you just said. But yeah, this part right here got me. This scene with the bloody handprint, and you realize like just how big this thing is.
Yeah, flamethrowers.
Yeah, and John Goodman has some cool line like "This world doesn't belong to us."
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah, we know they're trying to set up. Legendary is trying to set up a cinematic universe with Godzilla, and they're supposed to make King Kong versus Godzilla. So. Yeah,
which I think accounts for the scale of Kong in this movie, right?
Yeah.
They're prepping for that contest to be not so one-sided.
Yeah, if you notice, both the original posters for the recent Kong movie and this are very tonally similar. It's characters in the foreground, and they're holding these flares with the shadow of the beast in the background.
We are actually, unfortunately, out of time right now. However, the cast of Kong Skull Island is going to be here on this show in
these very seats?
just a few hours out on the balcony with me. Kong? Tom Hiddleston, John Goodman are going to be out there with me too. So stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for much more from Comic-Con Day 3 here on IGN after this.